Welcome back to our final talk by Professor Jean-Luc Nancy, titled, "What Can the Virus Teach Us?" As a preliminary reminder, I will say that those of you who are on Zoom during the talk or afterwards, if you want to click the button to raise your hand, please do so. I will try to keep everything in order. And those who are watching on YouTube, you can go to the website Slido, sli.do, type in pandemic if you want to ask a question, which I can then convey to Professor Nancy. And I also feel like I need to thank Rafik Gurman and Maria Moran for being on standby to help with the English and the French, given all the technological complexities. So by way of introduction, when the organizers of this conference first began to talk about keynotes, my first thought was to Professor Nancy. This is partly because I'd read the exchanges he'd had with Giorgio Agamben and Roberto Esposito and others, but also because his book, once the pandemic became clearly a pandemic, it became his book after Fukushima started to enter into my mind as something important. And so I was very excited and maybe a little overwhelmed when he agreed to give this talk. So it's an honor for me to introduce Jean-Luc Nancy, Emeritus Professor of Philosophy at the University of Strasbourg. It's impossible to do justice to his work in this short introduction, so I will here just mention a few of his books. Professor Nancy began his career with a series of studies of Hegel in La Remarque spéculative in 1973, of Kant with Le Discours de la Syncope in 1975, and with what I at least think is the most important consideration of Descartes in the last 40 years in Ego Sum in 1979. Over this period, he also began his collaboration with Philippe Lacoue-Labat, publishing their reading of Lacan on the unconscious, La Titre de la Lettre, 1973, and their investigation of the German Romantic concept of literature, l'absolu littéraire, 1978. From the 1980s, Nancy's work has increasingly focused on questions of the political and community. In Le Communauté des Souffrés in 1983, he argued the community is neither a collection of individuals nor something sitting underneath collective life, but is rather found in resisting or unworking political power. In Être singulier pluriel in 1996, he thinks through the importance of being with, showing that existence is fundamentally found in each of us, being abandoned to each other. And in 2002, with La création du monde ou la mondialisation, he extended these considerations to globalization in order to think through what a world formation could be apart from a uniform global techno-economic order. And finally, in what I've been thinking of as a singularly important resource for the possibilities of this pandemic presents us with, L'équivalence des catastrophes après Fukushima in 2012, takes up the Fukushima disaster and its aftermath as exposing the fragility of systems meant to secure the globalized world, offering an equality of our incommensurabilities in lieu of techno-capitalism's attempts to calculate the incalculable. This year, he has published La peau fragile du monde, which takes up, after a poem by Jean-Christophe Bailly, the question of the skin enveloping technological autonomy and calls for an other of the law of that autonomy's operation. In addition, several of his contributions to the philosophical consideration of the political, economic, and technological causes and effects of the pandemic have been published, with Viral Exception and A Much Too Human Virus appearing on the website of the European Journal of Psychoanalysis. And all of this is not even to mention his thoughts on art, the body, sex, religion, and film. As I said, I cannot do justice to his work here. So acknowledging this impossibility of justice, I'll let Professor Nancy speak for himself on what the virus can teach us. So, Professor Nancy.
Thank you. I have to apologize because my English is very weak, but I have three assistant to help me. And well, then the topic of this meeting is the world after the pandemic. And after is maybe not already there, but it starts now. We start to enter the after. So I want only now to propose you a few points to repérer, to give a repère. What is a repère? To give a mark, if you want, yeah, to read, to
find one's bearing. So
okay. So just four points to try to say. So how we philosophically, of course, of the philosophical point of view, where are we now? So 4 points. The first would be experience. The second would be self-sufficiency. The third will be bio. Comment on doit dire? Bio ou bio? Bio. And the fourth, equality. Well, first, experience. I mean, of course, we made an experience. We meaning this time, all of us, almost, I think, all of us, meaning everyone, the citizen, as well as the politician, the scientist, and almost in every country around the world, almost. So we made an experience. And in experience, we don't make experience every day. In a way, every day is an experience. That is, every day is new, and every day in the morning, we don't know what will happen. And everything can happen in the day. But we don't pay attention to this character of experience. And the character of the experience as such is philosophically very important. Of course, if we think about experience in the strong meaning of the word and not about scientific experimentation. The experimentation, at least in French, there is a clear difference between experimentation and experience. But of course, we talk in French about expérience scientifique. But precisely, if I don't say an experience scientifique, it is not clear what I mean with experience. And maybe it is absolutely the same in English, I don't know. But to make an experience is to discover something very new. I don't know, the first time I smoked cigarette, I made an experience. And by the way, it was a very bad experience for me. I was sick and I was terrified because I thought that maybe I did do something very dangerous. I don't know. Because of course, it was hidden, you know, and I was very young, you know, I was 13, something like that. This is an experience, and the experience is what is absolutely new, what is unknown, and in a certain extent, an experience, if it is real, true, authentic experience, an experience remain new and unknown through the whole event of the experience, you know. And maybe after the experience, I have learned something, I have understood something, I know something which I didn't know before, but in the experience as such, I do not learn, I do not take something, I do not capitalize something from the experience, but I am much more lost in the experience. You know. Yes, you know, like lost in translation, lost in experience. In experience, either I am lost or it is not really an experience. Then, and we know we are lost, we have been lost. It was such a big trouble, you know. For example, for myself, I could say I experienced the experience itself after maybe, don't know, 2 weeks or so. It become to show me how the situation was really strange, really unknown, really much more complicated than I thought at the starting point. At the starting point, I thought, oh yes, it is a new disease, etc. So I think that if I can say that the experience of the experience that we made this time, that is for the first time since I don't know, maybe since a very long time, and maybe for the first time that the whole humanity or the whole mankind makes in common an experience like that. That is the experience of an unknown disease and the experience precisely to discover this disease all around the world and to see a lot of interconnection between countries, continents, science and politics, I don't know, and after a while, the different way the virus was developing itself, because it is so different between even inside my country between the north, the northeast, where I am living, and the south and the southwest more. There is an enormous difference of number of sick people, etc. That is such an enormous difference that the people of the southwest are now méfiant. They are misconfident, you know. No.
Suspicious.
They are suspicious against us, the people of us. But I am from the southwest, you know, and I live in the northeast by chance, by my academic history. But if you look now between Slovakia and France, so difference is enormous, and it is not only a difference, a simple difference of disease, but a difference of relation between society and state, etc., etc. In a large scale, many problem or many situations, like what I said, the relation between state and society, or so-called civil society, are not new. For example, if you look at France in comparison to Italy and Spain, the two other countries of south of Europe, which are the most, which have the most disease with the virus, the difference in the political relationship in each country are very, very big. Why? Why? Because of the recent history in each country. You know, and in France, the pandemic is on the political level the continuation of the previous years, you know, where we have, as you know, all the trouble with the gilets jaunes, etc., etc. And all the character of the presidency of Emmanuel Macron, of course, is at play with this crisis. But precisely, so at the same time, we have a continuity, of course, of almost all the previous problem. We have the continuity, and we have something new, that is the new situation that we never experience before, and that made a lot of new question and new answer, and as many people have already said, it has opened a discursive pandemic, you know, or a logorrhea. Logorrhea, you know, I don't know. So we say that in French. It is a Greek word to say the enormous abundance of talk, of discourse, of answer, of critics, etc. To take only all the discussion about what is it, hydrochloroquine, I don't remember the name, and the famous Dr. Raut, etc. So no, but even that, even this kind of bouillonnement, the boiling water, like the boiling discourse, even that is part of experience. It is something of our experience. In a certain extent, I could say, and then we experience what is at play with every experience, that is a certain loss of I would say, even of subjectivity, because maybe the ground of the experience is that an experience has, in a certain extent, has no subject. We say, I make an experience, but precisely the I who is making the experience is not the I before, nor the I after the experience. So during the experience, where is the I? Maybe it's not there. And think about think about the very strong experiences as well, the experience of love as the experience of fear. And precisely we have an experience of fear here in this pandemic. Then I could say there is something new with the experience, because why? Because the experience is the contrary of what I would name the program. And our habit, our culture, our custom since a long time in all the developed countries, is or was the program. The program, everything is in some way written, and we have just to follow the program. So this is the first point, which maybe is very important, because it is a strong point which comes precisely in a time where we did enter in doubt, in skepsis about history since already a long time. Foucault said that we are living the era of history at the end of the 60s, if I remember well. But since this time, so many has been said and felt and developed as argument or as philosophical thinking about history, and about the relation between history and event. If event has been such an important philosophical theme or topic in the last 50 years, this is because precisely our history is becoming to the experience maybe of something like the end of the history as a theological process. So you know that, but I just wanted to say the experience of the pandemic make that concrete. Well, second point. I said self-sufficiency. It is, I think, very clear that on several levels or several realms, the possibility of the self-sufficiency a été mise en doute, has been put in doubt or fragilized, you know. And what I call self-sufficiency in English, I would say that in French with the Greek auto-suffisance. But the auto is maybe the main word, or more than a word, the main prefix of our vocabulary. In a certain extent, the automobile should be the real emblem of the real symbol of our not only civilization but condition. And what I feel today as I don't know, as very problematic is that in France, but not only in France, everywhere where there is an important automobile industry, the question is how to save today this industry. You know, our Renault industry is in a very bad condition. But what we do, we put money there because there are many workers with Renault, and then. So I know that Renault, like all the other automobile constructors, are thinking to other kind of automobile. But an electric automobile, and it is already known, an electric automobile open to other problems, starting with exactly the construction of such automobile, which is very expensive, complicated, and it goes again with problem of matière première, some material which are in Africa and which we need to take from Africa, etc. Then, and if the model of the individual car, yes, automobile car, if the model of the individual car is still the same with an electric or an atomic or what you want car, maybe that doesn't change enough the problem created by the car. Then I like this symbol on the side, but this symbol is a real and a strong symbol. That is our civilization is a civilization of the self. What is a model in our civilization? That is a self-made man. Of course, it is not good to be selfish, but in order to be not selfish, you first have to be yourself and become yourself. And after that, please pay attention to the other. But precisely the logic of the auto, which is strictly linked with the logic as such, and not to speak here about the problem of the foundation of the logic, but the logic of the auto is, or of the self, is precisely the logic of an impossibility, because the auto is never first. As well, in order to have an auto, you need to have another auto before, and before the first what? You already I would say you already go back to the other. That is, and we have a lot of things about that in the philosophy of the last 50 years or more, because we can go back to Hegel, but even if we only go back to Heidegger and to the Mitsein in Heidegger, but and to the great pupil of Heidegger, who has been Levinas, then we find the absolute necessity of the other, not as another somewhere outside, like the other of what we call in French altruism. Or
Altruism.
Same
Same
thing.
in English.
Altruism.
Same in English. Same in English.
Same. Yeah. So the altruism, but the altruism which is so much involved in all the solidarity about which we spoke so much during the pandemic. The altruism is related to the other, I would say, the external other, the other outside. But, and this is why the altruism is still how to say, is mostly made of good talk and no much reality, Or, and of course, it is normal. Think to the other. Okay, think to the other. But precisely in the pandemic, it is extremely interesting to see how it is, or it has been a tension between self-protection and attention to the other. And for example, in French, I know people who, during the crisis, during the so-called lockdown, you say, was going out of their home in a hidden way in order to help people being alone or who needed to be helped, So at the same time, it was something toward the other, but at the same time opening a possibility of a jeopardy for the people themselves, So then so to be quick now, the deficiency of the self-sufficiency shows us, I would say, two things together. First, that the question of the other or the otherness is not the question of the external other, but the question of the internal other. Well, how is or where is the other in me? Now the other who is me. So, like, you know, the famous sentence of Rimbaud, je est un autre, I is another. So that's the first. And second, that is that there is no self-sufficiency, maybe because there is no sufficiency at all. What means sufficiency? That is enough. Like what means satisfaction. Satisfaction means in Latin, satis, that is assez, enough. Ça, enough? That's enough.
Yes.
Where and how it is enough? What is enough? You know, of course, yeah, there is enough to eat, to drink, if there is, okay. But where and how can it be enough love, or enough dream, or enough meaning, enough signification? You see, everything what is important has no enough. So no sufficiency and no self-sufficiency. So the whole, I would say, the whole field of an internal otherness and as the same as the internal otherness of an insufficiency, of a constitutive insufficiency, is then open. But third, I say the bio. Bio is our main word. And it was already before the pandemic, but with the pandemic, it is even more. Biology and medicine and health and life. In a certain extent, life before all, life and no death, or the big discussion between, yes, death for the old people who are already ready to die, and protect the young people. Okay, so but what are we doing with this bio? There is something very strange, because with the bio, I would say with the sovereignty of bio, with the sovereign bio, we are in a very strange way, we are like returning the famous word biopolitics, which has been so much used by many people after Foucault, but in meaning very different from the meaning of Foucault. And mainly biopolitics was the accusation of a use, of a calculation of the living condition of people in order to make the people able to be the good actor of the production and of the economical. But now precisely by asking to the state and to everybody, to the state and to science and medicine to save us from the virus, we engender a positive biopolitics. It is very strange. Or today, I would say, but nobody said that. But I could say silently, a politics of biology replace a positive politics of biology replace the supposed to be bad biopolitics. I think that this reversal shows something, that is that we don't know what we mean with bio. With bio, we mean at the same time, to say almost like Marx, the living force, working force, you know, and we think like the pure, the absolute life, human life at least, but at the same time we start to put in question the animal life, even the vegetal life, you know. So then I think that this time, the fact that this pandemic is a disease and that the virus is so, at the same time, it's so, is a parasite, as you know. So a being which is not exactly living, but which is living with an organic life, etc. So that's all. But the bio on the center of the screen, but with the question, what do we want to do with that? And now, and the answer is only one. Oh, we want to live. To live, eh? Not to leave, but to live. To be living people, okay. But you know, until now, all the living people have to die at a certain time. Okay, but precisely, we discover much more than it was frequently said, but now I think it is more, we discover that we don't know exactly neither what it means to have a medicine able to keep people living a long time, because a lot of people living after 70 or 80 have not a very good life. For many, on social or psychological condition or physical, biological condition. So on one side, and on the other side, we don't know exactly why we want to live. It's just to live. Then the bio, I would say we are really on the limit of the bio. The bio seems to be in condition to replace what Aristotle calls the Zen. Precisely, he doesn't use the word bios, which in the Greek of Aristotle means the way of living. You know. But Zen, which is a verb of the word zoe, which is the life which is more, but not only what we call the biological life. But the Zen for Aristotle is what the police, what the city has to make possible. For us, it is almost as if the bios would be the that is, the life would be the good. But we know that it is not enough, precisely, we know that. Or if we don't know exactly that, because everybody is ready to answer, yes, yes, of course, life is as such a good, the good, maybe the only good, then I think it is precisely a good time, I would say, to ask to everybody why it is so good to live. If it is not good to live too long, then what shall we do with the length of life at all, etc., etc. So then and that is, for me, it is, I think it is very, very, very important and interesting point, that is, we discover that we have to think something more than the bio, or to take the bio back to its Greek, Attic, at least, meaning, which was the way of life, how to live. I know that, as it is well known, Agamben, if Agamben was so hostile to all the lockdown, etc., it is because Agamben has the idea that life shall be precisely not what he calls the bare life, which precisely maybe it doesn't exist, but shall be a life having a good form. That is a bios, precisely. So for Agamben takes the word of Wittgenstein, the forme de vie, the form of life. You know. Okay, I can agree with that. But precisely a form of life that is not bios, or not bios of the biology. The biology cannot give us a form of life. And then, as well, it is not something that can be individual. Of course, the form of life should be something that the society, if the word society, so that the common being makes possible. Well, and now fourth and last point, equality. It is extremely interesting to see how the pandemic, on one level, it is an absolute equality, because the virus is the same virus for everybody, and the virus makes sick people of all social, economical level, etc., etc. But at the same time, as we know, everybody knows, poor people, the people being so far from the medical resource, etc., etc., like the black in America, or in France, for example, the north suburb of Paris, the department of the so-called Seine-Saint-Denis, are the territory where the disease has been the much strong. You know? So and we know that from the last I don't know, the last again 50 years or at least 30 years, the inequality between the enormous richness and the extreme poverty is growing and growing in our world. Well, then the pandemic is like a claim for equality, and at the same time, it's not only we see the inequality, for example, again to speak from Renault, now in France, the question is how much will be paid the director of Renault? Well, for the year 20, he will be paid 25% less than before. Okay, but for the year before, he is paid like it was in the program before, which is I don't remember, but it is better that I don't remember, because it is you know, it is an amount of money. Okay, let's now I think what the pandemic put on the middle, that is this question: why are we equal? Because if we want to fight for equality, we should know why. And precisely, I think that until now, we have no other answer to the question, why are we equal, as a bio answer. You know. Think about the French Declaration of the Rights of Men and Citizens of 1789. You know, men are born equal and free. Are born, ils naissent et demeurent, are born and they remain. But besides, the remain depend from the to be born. What is to be born? Is that a biological event? It is the implicit meaning of the French Declaration. You know, if I am born, I'm a man. If I am a man, by nature, by my birth, I am equal to any other man. But precisely, if the birth is not simply a biological event, like maybe no one biological event is simply biological, even to be sick or I don't know. Well, even something like we don't know very well today with, or for example, all the question about gender. Well, then I think that this is maybe for me the most important of the point. And maybe this is what makes all the 4 points coming together in this one. The most important is, are we able now to know why we are equal? We have to, before at least the Christian countries did have an answer that is because we are the children of God. Okay. Which is not absolutely clear, maybe, or we presuppose that all the children of the same father are equal, which we, so, but when the father is God, maybe. But now we are no longer the children of God. Then and so if we let on the side any question of religion, we can't say the answer to the question why are we equal is maybe the most important thing that we could now try to elaborate, because only with that we can sustain something that would be neither self-sufficient nor biopolitical. So, and what can we try? Because I know you will say, you ask the question and give the answer. Yes, maybe I give at least beginning of an answer. And the beginning of an answer is that precisely we cannot give an answer. We cannot give an answer because there is no reason that I could give for the entire humanity, nor from each of us, because if it is for each a special reason why it is a special, and if it is for all together, but what is certainly the same for all together and for each at each time, that is that there is no reason, or there is the reason of the birth. Okay, but what is the reason of the birth? Why do people make children? You know, it is maybe it is a way to rediscover what Marx make with his category of the proletariat. The proletariat is the one who has nothing else than his children too. So the proletariat is the birth on the point of view of the force of work, etc. But precisely, what has humanity for its own continuation? Only children, of course. But first, not all the people make children, and there is not a duty to make children. And when some people make children, so the program is not exactly enough to let us know not only what kind of child you will have, if you will a daughter or son, but which kind of child you want to have. Oh, a good one. So certainly, okay. No. But precisely, not every child becomes the child you wanted. I have 5, you know. I know what I say. No, they are very, very good. It's all good. All good, but no one, for no one I could say, oh, this is exactly, he or she is what I wanted. Because for that, I didn't want too much. But certainly all parents want too much for any children. Oh, okay. But so just the birth is not a natural event. And the growing of a child is not a natural process. Which doesn't mean that it is only a calculated and social condition process. It is much more, it is precisely something we have no reason for that. If we could start to make of the absence of sufficient reason, you know, the principle of Leibniz, if we could make with that, I don't know how to say now, but a force, I would say, a force. I don't say a principle, of course, not what we should write on our flags, but a force. If we could communicate to the entire community the sense of the no reason, then maybe we could understand equality and life at the same time in complete different way. And maybe I hope that the experience we are making could be the experience precisely of no reason, because at least there is no reason for this virus. Well, thank you. I hope it was a little too long, no? No, I hope I'm afraid.
No. Well, not for me anyway. Thank you very much, Professor. That was fantastic. I am going to give folks a few minutes, or a minute or so, to gather their thoughts. Folks in Zoom, if you want to raise your hands, go ahead. Those who are watching the stream, if you want to ask on Slido, go ahead. There seems to have been a lag at certain points, so I'm just gonna let it go for a moment. Unless either Maria or Rafik, you wanted to step in with something for the moment.
Yeah, actually I have, but I let first Marie if she has a question.
Well, I was not expecting to have to ask a question, but one of the things that, and I'll repeat it in French after, so for Nancy, but I was thinking when you were talking about the auto and the automobile and the car, and the place where this tension between self-sufficiency and the public or the in common is coming, is becoming manifest right now, is in this debate around public transportation and the danger of public transportation and the need for automobile or a mode of transportation where we are isolated. And this clashes with this whole debate we've been having about promoting public transportation. And it's a very interesting side of to think about this auto and this automobile. Est-ce que vous voulez que je répète en français?
Oui, je veux bien un peu, oui.
Oui, je pensais
pas tout, mais résume-moi si tu veux.
Oui, au débat entre, aussi parce que, bon, en français, public transportation, c'est transport en commun.
Oui.
C'est un lieu de l'en commun, comme vous le pensez. Et maintenant, avec le virus, il y a un débat sur où le transport en commun est un site de danger. Et donc, on a un retour à l'automobile et comme lieu d'isolation pour se transporter. C'est très intéressant de voir le changement de discours l'automobile et le transport en commun, et l'en commun et l'auto.
Ah, c'est vrai, mais yes, it's true, but the first, it means that, of course, we cannot stay with the virus. so it is why the first the issue is with a vaccine, and that we can be. And if we think in a long time in advance, we have to know that, and the epidemiologist knows that very well, that the virus. So now we can become accustomed to a virus. You know, for example, I know that because I discover myself, because I am immunodepressed, because I am a heart transplant, you know. But I discovered 30 years ago that I have a lot of viruses in me, which you have as well. But if your immunity is normal, you don't know about that. But suddenly, when a short time after my heart transplantation, I did have the cytomegalovirus. And the cytomegalovirus at this time was already well known through AIDS, because it was a virus which attacked strongly the AIDS people. And precisely because it was 30 years ago, it was a time that the medicine did have already something against the cytomegalovirus. And now, for example, I was analyzed last September, I have a virus in my heart, which is named parvovirus, and it is a virus specialized for little children, you know. And I don't know what he's doing there, but I was very in a bad condition for 1 year, you know, because of this virus, you know. But now I don't know where maybe it's gone, but you know. So maybe in maybe I don't know, in 10 years or less, the entire humanity will be accustomed with the virus, and then maybe we can rediscover the public transportation, because it is clear that we have a problem with the transportation. But precisely that is the interest of the pandemic, is that it is révélateur.
Rafik,
There is a question on Slido. Maybe we can just copy and paste the question to Monsieur Nancy so that he can read for himself.
well, I wanted to, Georgios Tsiagis, sorry if I'm mispronouncing, had his hand up a minute ago. So, and then we can go to the Slido. So,
okay, excuse me.
Great. So, Georgios, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Professor Nancy. Many thanks for your thoughts on those 4 points. I wanted to ask you a question of clarification and elaboration. Do you consider the pandemic now an event in the full sense of the word? You consider that it has constituted an event, and how does that event relate to the end of history that, you know, Foucault, as you presented, diagnosed at the end of the 60s? So are we actually seeing an event now? And how does that relate to the end of history? Thank you.
Well, I understood this. The relation to the history and then to the end of history is made, I would say, particularly clear in the case of the pandemic, because if you go back in the history, back until the great plague of the Renaissance, you know, then you see each time all the big pandemic, this plague, and after that influenza, and the virus was not known. All the pandemic has been related with the progress of the circulation and of trade. You know, at the Renaissance, the plague came through the Mediterranean on boat, you know, and I discover precisely, I don't know, 1 or 2 months ago, I discovered that in 1782, it was the big epidemic of something called influenza at the time. That is the name which is still used today for what we call grippe, in fact. So it was such the big epidemic which came in Königsberg. You know, Königsberg is a city of Kant. And Kant, I didn't know that until this time, Kant wrote an article at this time in the journal of Königsberg. I think maybe even in many journals of Königsberg. And the article of Kant is about the interesting fact that the epidemic goes with the trade, with the growing trade between countries. And he speaks even from China. I translate this article in French, and I made a video with that on a site, a French site called Philosopher en temps d'épidémie, which is on YouTube. But if you don't speak French, that will not help you. But if you want, do you read German? If you read German, so I can't send you the German text. But it is easy to find on Google they write on Google, count epidemic in 1782, and you will. If you don't find it, ask me. I send you this. This is very interesting, you know. And then a few time later, Hegel in what is called the Encyclopedia, in addition to, I don't know, so talk about epidemic and trade and circulation, etc. And as you know, Hegel died from an epidemic of cholera. Even if he was locked down outside of Berlin in a country house. Well, and then through the 19th century, you can't find, I don't know, but I looked a little for that, and I found some books in the 19th century, book mainly of doctors, about the relation between the new communication. Imagine at the time of Kant, you have no automobile and not even railway. And in his article, Kant speaks about caravan. He speaks of the trade through boats and caravan. But after, with the railway, with the steam boat, etc., etc. Then the relation between the expansion of pandemic and technical progress is clear. And so, in a way, we could say it is not an event because the whole history is jalonné, I would say. So, point to point of epidemic linked to the. And it has been the same with AIDS, but the difference between AIDS and now is that AIDS, that transmission of AIDS is not so broad and easy, if I can say, that the transmission of the COVID. So, but maybe I would say, what makes properly an event now is maybe not so much the virus. It is much more our reaction to the virus. Because I would say with AIDS, it was still something, a little bit, but something from, I would say, from the theological point of view. Ah, yes, but it is sexual, and it is mainly homosexual. Well, it is bad to be homosexual. So then, but now, or with other virus like the first SARS or the Ebola, by chance those virus was limited to certain era. But now it's the first time that it goes everywhere, and you cannot find any coupable, guilty, who is guilty and coupable. No coupable and no God. Ah. And then, well, and there that maybe that makes that this pandemic is an event as revelatory of us, or of the state of mankind.
Thank you. Okay, so there's one question on Slido. I will send it to you as a message, I guess, in English, and Rafik did a translation, so I can send you that in a moment. But I'll also read it. So the question is, the idea of the unnaturalness of birth is something that I never thought of before. Can that be elucidated? What can be considered naturally human then?
Yes, I've seen, thank you. The question. Nothing. No, but more than that, more than that. More than that, because, you know, yes, we can say man comes in nature. Man belongs to nature, is a natural being, okay? But precisely because man is a natural being, it shows that a natural being is at the same time a cultural being. It is the being which it is a being which makes the nature. That is, at one time comes a being which say, precisely by saying, by talking, there is already something which is apart from nature, but it belongs to nature. Then the interesting point is to look at what is, to look at how nature is transforming itself in the human being in order, maybe without any intention, without any project or program, but nature is transforming itself and makes, for example, a talking being. But what is a talking being? The talking being is a being which has here some different things, you know, and even here, it's not at all able to talk. The great apple, etc., don't have the same. This is here. Then this is the volume and the configuration of brain, etc., etc., and the standing up. You know, that's all is natural. That belongs to nature. And the best proof that it is natural is that we have two kind of ancestor of mankind. You know, the Homo sapiens and what's the name of the other? I don't. Dis-moi, quel est l'autre? Messi, c'est pas l'homme de Cro-Magnon, l'homme de Néandertal. Voilà. And the Neanderthal man, which or who was a cousin of Homo sapiens, and finally sapiens was don't know, the best or the strongest, but so in the nature, it was neither a rupture, you know, it is not one day God comes and say, end of the animals, now, no. And neither that, no, a simple continuous evolution, but there was different possibilities, exactly like with a lot of other species. You know. Then now your question is about the birth. With the birth, there are many special features with human being. And first, that is that I don't speak about sexuality because a lot of other animals are sexualized, you know. But in mankind, there is not what in the quasi all other mammifères, c'est mammifères.
Mammals?
Hmm?
Mammals.
Mammals, non, mais les mammifères. Hein? So in quite the other species, there are special time for making mammals, d'accord. J'ai cru que c'était mamelle que tu disais, d'accord. Thank you. Alors, in quasi all the species, there are very special times for making babies. No, for I mean not the biological possibility of making baby, which for by the woman is as well once a month, as we know, etc. But there is a time where the male and the female want to make not only in humanity it is different, but in humanity it is much more complicated, and what is very rare among other animals, sexuality has or seems to have another function as to make babies. What is it? You know? Well, what does that mean? Is that unnatural? If it is unnatural, then that is nature. Nature is already a little perverse with man, you know, because man wants to make love without making babies, and even worse, man wants to make love with the same sex, etc., or alone, or etc. So that's all. It's very important because it means that before any chance of birth, that is before any conception, so the entire scenario, or how you say scenario? As you say scenario, the plot, the entire plot is different. It's the same, but there is something different. And then it comes to, yes, make a baby, have the baby, and that all. And what are the liens de parenté, les structures élémentaires de la parenté, the title of Lévi-Strauss, you know. You know how it is complicated. Oh, for us, this is father, mother, but in many, many other cultures, it is different. So, etc., etc. And then the little human baby is unable to become a human being if it is not in a human environment. You know? It is known that a human baby alone, without human people around him, cannot become a human being. He cannot learn to talk. And after, I think after, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years, it is impossible to learn to talk. Then, what does that mean? That's it. I don't answer to this question, but I think at least, I would say we should say that it means something that comes from nature, if you want. That is through this special constitution of man, something of the entire nature is expressing itself. I would say the man talks for the entire nature. I would say, yes, and the talk has no end and no conclusion, and the talk doesn't give the truth about nature. Certainly. That's another problem. Yes, I've seen that there was a question about Levinas.
Oui, j'ai déjà traduit la question pour vous, Monsieur Nancy, et je l'ai envoyé.
Oui, alors Levinas, mais j'ai pas vu toute la question, c'est quoi Levinas?
Donc, je vous ai envoyé un message.
Je ne sais pas où il est, je l'ai vu, mais il a disparu.
Ah oui, je lis alors ma traduction. Je peux?
Attendez, non, je vois là les messages sur le côté. Je vois deux revigurements.
Oui, voilà.
Ah non. Ah oui. Avant, il y avait une question sur les masques. Que doit être l'intersubjectivité? Et ensuite, le nom de Lévinas, quand on cache tout son visage, que devient l'intersubjectivité? Oh oui! Oh non! Alors, non! If Levinas would be alive, maybe he would say, with the mask, my visage is even more invisible. Then is more the visage, you know. So, the visage of Levinas is not visible. Then, and it makes this question about mask makes think, you know, about all the culture where there are masks, where the women, for example, have to mask their face. As you know, it is at least in France, it is a terrible discussion about that. And this is complicated, but of course, the mask by itself is not to be, I would say, to be taken as a mask, precisely. Because in a way, you can say, after the mask comes the person. A person in Latin, persona, is a word meaning the mask. But well, no. So I answer to both questions together in a way. And you know, you ask what becomes the intersubjectivity. Intersubjectivity is not a word of Levinas, you know. Levinas talks about the relation of me and the other, talks about an otherness, which is, as I said before, which is an otherness together outside and inside me, but never intersubjectivity. Because the subjectivity supposes first the self, and in a way, the self-sufficiency. But to become a self, I have to be in relationship to another self. This is what I said before about a child without human environment, and how important is this environment. You think just to speak about the language, if you go in the middle of Slovakian language, you speak. It is not only that you learn the Slovakian language, that is that your muscle, your mouth, your throat is modeled, configured by this language. For example, for French people, it is difficult to say the English the. So when you go to school, then you learn to. But because I was never in school for learning English, I don't know how to do that. No. But no, it is extremely. It is so difficult to learn Chinese, because to learn Chinese you have to learn, but what is learn? You have to enter in your muscle, in your body, the way of differentiating the tones of the same syllable, you know, to know the difference. So what we call, again with Freud, what we call subject is only the very small parcel of the I on the enormous mass of the it. But we are 90% it and 1% I. So the so-called intersubjectivity is as well it. It, what is it? It is everything. Everything. It is all what we know or what we feel, or it is a light now outside, and it is the animal drives in me, and even vegetal drives. Well, and the eye is only a, only what you see now. You see an image. You see this man with glasses, and in what you see. Yes, it's an old man, okay, and then what? That's not very much, no? And you ask, what is inside? There is nothing inside. You know what is inside. You can open, or if you open that, but you can look in a book and you can see everything which is inside. Well, so the inside is everywhere. The inside is precisely in the it. It is in the enormous amount of communication, interaction, etc., etc.
Il y a encore une autre question, Monsieur Nancy.
Oui.
Je l'ai envoyé.
Alors c'est la question sur le deuil et la perte.
Voilà.
Oui. Ah oui. Non, about le deuil, comment on dit le deuil?
Morning.
Morning.
It's not morning, but it's...
Yeah, thank you. Yes, about morning, I would say, now, what has been new with pandemic is the impossibility to be with the dying people in the hospital, and that is really a real problem. As we know, for example, through the narrative by Thucydide of the plague in Athens in the 5th century before Christ, it was already the case that the people died and was burned, enterré, jeté, without any ceremony, without precisely what for us is so important, that is mourning conduct, not only to be with, because it is never simple to be with the dying people, but at least to be not far, to come most quickly after the death, and to go to the cemetery, etc. With, of course, but precisely, it is very good, if I can say that in that way, it is very good that we experience that, which was maybe the most hard surprise in the pandemic. It is good because before, I don't know how it is in a country like Slovakia, but in France, I can tell you that since, I don't know, since 30, 40 years at least, there is all the time a complaint about our impossibility to have a good sense of mourning and of ceremony of mourning for non-religious people, which makes that in a country like France, where there are not so much very religious people, a lot of enterrement, or comment on dit enterrement?
Bury.
Burial.
Burial, oui. A lot of burial are more or less religious. I have seen some very strange, even one could say some funny mourning, where it was, for example, the burial of a philosopher, Henri Joly. It was not in a church, because he was not a Christian, but in front of a small chapel in the mountain, in the Alps, a very, very wonderful sight, you know. And there we was there because he was a philosopher, so it was a lot of philosophers. It was Derrida and Bourdieu and Bouvresse and I don't know, Lacoulabat and me and so other people. All those atheists or even some Jews, but mainly atheists, the people in front of a chapel and to pay homage and affection and to be in the company of the family, of course, of Henri Joly, etc. So, and I remember very well this scene because it was so strange, so complicated, you know. And after that, it was like it is often the case in France, that every people was invited at the house of the wife of Henri Joly, and there was a lot of people talking, and etc., and drinking. And Derrida came to me and he said, "But it is horrible. All this, every people speak, and they speak about nothing, about everything. And by us," he said, "by us, that is by the Jews. Normally, he never says us for the Jews, but by us, we are silent, and we keep silent for many days." And I said, "Yes, I know, but by us, no." We talk, we enjoy because we think it is a way to enjoy with the dead person. Derrida was not convinced, you know. He was even shocked. You know? Well, it is just the question of mourning and burial is a collective, a common question. And precisely it is good that we rediscover this question with this negative and painful experience of pandemic. Because maybe certainly the next time I think somebody will invent another way to do that. And first, but after but without any pandemic problem, I would say, could we be able to find a way to invent a ceremony for precisely for the without reason, celebrating the gratuity of the death as well as of the life. You know, this is, in a way, this is a part of the general question of what was called before the civil religion. And this is a point still sensible, I think, through all the history of the Republic and the democracy, that is that, you know that Rousseau, and after Rousseau, several people wanted to create a civil religion. In a way, it is exactly what Kant names the religion in the limit of the pure reason. But precisely, it failed all the time. Maybe civil religion is not the good word, but at least the question of the civil religion maybe is a religious form, religious because we use the word religion to say is an old form, but to ask the question about how we can present to ourselves our community. And this is still at stake.